and welcome to the Ramon Foster Show, Championship Weekend Monday morning edition. He's Ramon in Hendersonville, Tennessee. I'm Dejan Kovacevic in Pittsburgh. And Ramon, my goodness, what an AFC game that was.
Yes, it was. Every bit of it, man. They gave us everything we was looking for. Hey, this may as well be an AFC North game. That's what that is.
That is
Kansas City and Cincinnati, the Steelers Ravens? Is that what this is?
Kansas City's in the division. That's how I see it. We see them so often.
We do. Goodness. First and foremost, DK. What a Cincinnati way to lose, man.
Oh, here comes all the sympathy. Here comes all
God.
the sympathy from 73. This is the mature showing that we're expecting.
No, this is the real showing you get. I even got my emblem on. You see me over here, man?
I see you.
Goodness. How can they not get through this? You have one of the most calm, young, and talented, athletic, best arms quarterbacks we've seen in this young generation so far, as far as just pureness of it, right? Like, he's the guy most teams will be chasing. Find us one of them, and they still find a way to mess this up because of blunders. DK, blunders.
Are you going to go at Joseph Osai? Is that what you're doing here?
Let me say this real quick.
Go ahead.
It's more than that one play that got them to lose. That's the one that's up to lose, okay? But this is one of those things why I always compare offensive guys to defensive guys, although Trent Williams had a real crazy offensive player type play today when he snatched somebody down to the ground. Like, oh my gosh, that was insane to see. But defensive players, I used to always get upset with them. I'd be like, why did you hit him? You saw him sliding. He was going out of bounds. That's why I always say offensive players are smarter, DK.
Oh, jeez.
I just want to say that first. Like, an offensive player wouldn't make that boneheaded decision right there.
See, here's how I feel about Osai, okay? We don't have to agree on everything.
Okay,
Osai,
I'm here for it.
To me, Osai, including just 2 snaps before that, illustrated why he was one of the best players in this game.
Yep.
He was aggressive. He was rabid. He went after Mahomes, made his night miserable, which is exactly what was needed from the Bengals front in that game. Now, what happens in that situation, I feel silly saying this to somebody who spent 11 years in the NFL, but it's just a viewpoint, okay? In that situation, Osai is going after Mahomes. For all he knows, Mahomes is going down the field and everything. He's not looking at the. Where's he looking? Where's his eye level?
His eye level was probably at his head, maybe. I don't know. Where was his at his head?
It wasn't at his feet. Yeah, I mean, and all he does is he making sure, and he's got how far out of bounds was Mahomes? Look, it's the right call. I'm not arguing the call.
Okay, it's not how far he was at. It was the commitment to where he was going is where the foul came into play to me. You saw it's just like the quarterback that's going into a slide. While they're going into the slide and you hit them, it's still a personal foul though too. So that's where the smartness of it. I'm with you. The competitive side of him said, run and push him out just to make sure he's out, right? That's what you're saying.
It's the competitive side that everyone loved the entire night. This is not Vontaze Burfict looking to hurt the guy.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. He's not trying to injure him.
No, we
can agree on that.
We can agree on that. But I'll say this. It's the same way that Mahomes is protected. It's the same way Joe Burrow is. The same way we see Brady be protected. Like certain guys, when they go into a slide or they just go down or they look like they're going out of bounds, play's over. Yeah. Let them go. Now, I will say Joe Burrow had a few in this game where the big run that he had to kind of spring them into field goal position. I looked at that situation. I was like, God, he shook a linebacker. But if
he did too, he did one of these. Yeah.
He dipped on him a little bit, did he not? But I looked at that and I kind of say, dang, like you should have laid him out. But here's Joe Burrow shaking somebody with the idea that he's somewhat protected. Like, I don't know when these defenders, and I can be honest with you, I don't know when they're going to hit him and when they're not going to hit him. I can be fair about saying that. But in that situation, going towards the sideline, ballsy play by Mahomes because you can tell that Will was bothering him, but it's just a dumb play by Osai, though, man.
I'm not going to argue it. Here's what I don't like. I don't like scapegoating. And
no.
And I look at the Bengals' previous possession. Okay. Yeah. And here's Joe with, what was it, 6 minutes left on the clock?
Yeah.
Okay. And he has a nice run to the left, and then they give one to Mixon, and Mixon gets 7 yards. And then what ends up happening? They start bombing the ball for no reason.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Why wouldn't you just trust what you have? You've got this quarterback in the backfield. You've got this running back in the backfield who looked like he was just about to start going.
Yep.
Okay. And instead, you put these, I don't want to call them prayers, but
50-50 balls is what you call them for the most part.
And to Kansas City's credit, they made really good
plays.
Okay.
Yes, they did. On that tipped interception that they ended up getting down the field from Cook.
Gorgeous.
Oh, my gosh. Really good play.
Gorgeous defense. Okay. But if you're Cincinnati, why not just proceed gradually down the field? And this is hindsight, okay? All I'm saying is it's not all on Osai. It's not all on the coordinator. It's not all on Zach Taylor. It's not all on anybody. That's why I hate scapegoating. And I also understand it's the last thing everyone saw. You know?
It is. It's a team loss, 100%. There's no way around that. They lost that as a team with multiple plays, letting Kelsey, who was inactive for the most part all day, all week long, and if he was going to play, here he is, still 7 receptions on the night with a touchdown. How do you lose him in the end zone? Letting Mahomes just dash you down the field, too. Like, I mean, you got to think about this. In the tight red zone for Kansas City, they had, 2 touchdowns that came back, Pacheco's? With a holding call that came back, and you didn't say. I mean, there was a lot that kind of happened in that game where Cincinnati became they look like the old Cincinnati, man. Just being completely honest with you, even with some of the plays that they were making. How do you fumble this one?
Even on the play that's the discussion point, the Osai play. What are you doing letting him out of there? To begin with, okay? That wasn't just Osai letting him out of there. Osai's late on that one, okay? There's a whole front that's got a guy who can barely even walk.
Yep.
And they let him loose over there. That's my only point here. Look,
this game went down to exactly as I said it would too, and we'll get into that also too, DK.
We will. There's lots more to come on championship weekend, including the other team. Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show. Sounds like we're just piling on the Bengals here because that's the only perspective we're addressing so far. But the Chiefs did a lot right, and it wasn't just Mahomes, and it wasn't just Butker there at the end, was it?
No, it wasn't, man. You had guys making plays downfield a whole lot. Justin Reed being one of those guys. Trent McDuffie being one of those guys. Cook being one of those guys. Willie Gay, they had a bunch of guys making plays for them down the field. But the guy I want to talk about up front, who I said earlier this week when we talked about the preview for this game, was Christopher Jones, okay? This is what you look for in these type of players, man. Guys making big-time plays in big-time moments. I said this. I said, if Chris Jones and his group, that front 7, can get to Joe Burrow, get sacks, and not celebrate them, get back to the line of scrimmage and get to him again, that's what you do. And that's exactly what they did. They were careful in how they did sack him. Were they not? They did not let. They made sure that if they were having him in their grips, they didn't let him go. That first sack early in the game when he kind of got pile drive, or Joe Burrow kind of got pile drived on his head. He's a runner technically in that moment, but nobody gave up on pursuing him. That's what they needed to do, and that's what they did. And to cap off the end of the game defensively for Kansas City.
Oh, Chris Jones.
He didn't rush. He's a D tackle / D end. I look at him as a D tackle because of his size, right?
It's just, I mean, he's kind of playing TJ's position, but he's just so big.
Yes.
You can't call him an OLB, you know?
And this is the beauty of coaches trusting players trusting themselves, and the players making the coach right or making themselves right as you take a huge gulp out of that drink.
You see that? I was so fixed on this game.
Yeah, but you're dehydrated now, okay? But what I'm saying is this. He made himself right. he gained more trust, and he made his defensive coordinator right because they saw a weak link on that Cincinnati team and that right tackle. And I say that respectfully because everybody got somebody that, you know what, we can go after. Last year in the Super Bowl against the Rams, Aaron Donald chose his number. He went over Cincinnati's left guard, and he won. Chris Jones did the exact same thing in this game right here. He found that guy. And what happens when you're him, as the kids say, I'm him. He said, I'm him. You move in, Dunlap. Let me rush this outside. Let me rush this right tackle. And he got home and won, DK. That's what you want to see out of TJ, which he does. That's what Cam does when you see him moving side to side and floating around. There's certain guys, Von Miller, that do this type of stuff, and it pays off for you when you got one of those guys, DK.
For all the Cincinnati fans who are going to bury Joseph Osai over this, don't leave your right tackle out of that mix either, because he was the one. I mean, you want to talk about getting obliterated. I understand he's not the starter and everything, but
and that's another conversation too. That line is good when they're able to run the ball. The simplest thing you teach offensive line. Yeah. The simplest thing you can teach an offensive lineman is run block. That alleviates a bunch of other problems, meaning Kansas City knew they had to pass the ball, and they had stopped running the ball. What happens then? As you hear the coaches say, ears pinned back. That's one thing we saw also this Steeler offensive line do later in the season. They started to run the ball, and protection got a whole lot better around Kenny Pickett. Just like to correlate this into the Steelers. Like, you got to be able to run the ball to protect. It takes the anxiety out of it. And that's what didn't happen for Cincinnati's offensive line. Man. They finally cracked, DK.
I'm telling you, if all they'd done with 6 minutes left was just go think up the field. I understand not having Tyler Boyd, wouldn't help. But you'd had Hayden Hurst starting to build some confidence up. And you had all kinds of weapons. And then they just, let's just win it all with one pass just to calm everybody's nerves or whatever that was. Moan, there was another game on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Not nearly as suspenseful or dramatic, to say the least. But I got to tell you, that one right there, that had to be near and dear to your heart, because that is a football team that is built on the trenches, as we've been talking about for a few days now.
Yeah, man.
And the fact that Andy Weidel is now a member of the Steelers front office, a guy who was largely responsible for putting that Philadelphia roster together and prioritizing the big boys. What can you say about them putting up all the points they did against that 49ers defense? I don't even care about the rest of it. I don't care that the 49ers were down to somebody in street clothes for a quarterback. That doesn't interest me.
I mean, that means they got to their quarterback to do that, though, DK. Let's not discount that.
No.
That Philly team got to them to make that actually an option for them to get somebody else in there. I think they were into, Christian McCaffrey or Juszczyk as the backup quarterback at that point.
Yeah.
But this is the thing too. There's also another Steeler tie in that in this Philly organization too. Brendan Hunt is now in the front office of Philadelphia too, after being up for the GM job. You remember that? Like, they basically switched front office personnel in a sense. So he's going back to the Super Bowl, man, which is huge for him. But DK, that is. I heard somebody recently say, don't let the Golden State era of NFL football fool you. This is still a run league. This is still a run stopper league. This is still a big boys play ball type of league. That shows you, yes, you got to have a mix of pass. Yes, you got to have creativity as far as opening up the runs. But if you can't stop the run and if you can't run the ball, then there is a problem. Philly first 2 scores, if I'm not mistaken, I know they at least had 2 scores on the ground with runs. DK.
4.
I mean, what are we saying here? As much as we speak about Najee getting the ball,
Jalen Hurts only had 120 yards passing. Who cares?
Who cares? They bullied them, man. Philly played bully ball on both sides of it. And I like that offensive line from San Francisco also. But there was nothing they can do. We saw Javon Hargrave get busy. I think he had another sack today. I ain't even got the stats in front of me, but I feel like he had another sack. Their D ends rushed. They were relentless in their pursuit. And it wasn't just that they had a backup quarterback in. DK, they terrorized that backfield. They did. Philly defensive line.
They were there relentlessly. I mean, it was, it was just watching these guys and seeing the immortal, timeless Fletcher Cox and these guys just getting back there. I just thought this game overall was just such a tribute to the importance of the trenches, the NFC game. There was actually, Moen, they had a camera.
Yeah.
From you know what I'm talking about, from the side. I never seen them use this before on a broadcast. It was amazing, and at the time the commentator said something to the effects of offensive line coaches around the world are going to love this shot because they showed what Philadelphia's offensive line had to do to get under the pads.
Yeah.
When they got down to within, I think it was the 3 or 4 yard line.
100% DK.
Nobody got clever down there, did they?
No, it is.
They didn't get clever.
What did I tell you? Those times in which we were just humping on offense. That was a trolling this weekend too. Talking about some Ben never had a really
what
good.
What term was that?
I was just humping, like just moving, humming. Okay, this is what we're talking about here. But listen to me. There was times, DK, in which you played this game when you're either that physical, you're that good, or you're that tight as a unit, to where they know what's going to happen. And San Francisco knew what was going to happen defensively. And Philly said, stop it.
So what? Yeah, stop it.
Stop it.
Good luck.
There's nothing more beautiful to watch those guys up front, tight ends included, move them forward in unison. Lifting pads and rolling hips, DK. That's all you're looking for in this style of ball. And then you'll get cute later. That's cool.
It's going to be a good matchup, isn't it?
It's got to be. Because just the 2 D lines in general is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce, that storyline, the 2 quarterbacks, okay, one's the second, one's the first, league MVP. Jalen Hurts might get league MVP. I'm not sure. The running backs for both of them, Pacheco, and then on the other side for the Eagles too, like legitimately they have everything you want. They got playmakers down the field and they have an opportunity to get healthy too. Both kickers are good. Both punters are good. Both coaches. I know Sirianni's young in this league. You got Andy Reid with the tie.
Andy is the tie, yeah.
I mean, DK.
It's going to be good.
If there was a phantom bad call thrown out there just to get Kansas City in the Super Bowl, do you blame them? But you didn't have to, because Cincinnati did Cincinnati-type things today, man.
He can't stop himself. When we come back, the only segment that matters.
That's bashing Cincinnati and Hey Moan.
Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show and the only segment that matters. It's brought to you by the Get-Go Cafe and Market, where 3 expert chefs fine-tune every sub, burger, salad, wrap, drink, and app so that they are crafted for what is. We're going to do this one again.
I was going to leave. I was going to let you, and I was going to clean it up for you. I was like, y'all talking about DK doing this. You don't understand how hard live reads are.
Man, okay, here goes.
Yeah, I was going to clean it up for you.
Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show and the only segment that matters. That would be the Hey Moan segment, brought to you by the Get-Go Cafe and Market, where 3 expert chefs fine-tune every sub, burger, salad, wrap, drink, and app for what they describe as a state of craveability. Order your favorite entry at Get-Go Cafe and Market today. Better believe it. Moan, we have an entry from Tony, who says, oh my goodness, he spelled these out with so many letters and exclamation points. I can't back off far enough. He says, hey, Big Moan, why hasn't the union, this is one question aimed at your union background, why hasn't the union forced the NFL's hand and made all 54 players active on game day? I believe, active or not, you accrue time for retirement, so why not have them active and we avoid not having 3 quarterbacks active for a game? He's referring, obviously, to what ended up happening to the 49ers. And it's unfortunate, but let's also remember that coaches can, they can dress the players they want to dress.
Yes, they can.
They don't have to scratch the 3rd quarterback. But you're referring to the old, where so-and-so was designated a 3rd quarterback. And if something had happened, that player could go and suit up. That's no longer the case, which is weird.
Yeah. That is a interesting question. The why is honestly not clear to me. I get the understanding of having all 53 up, but that's just a factor of that's just the competitive side of what the NFL football is. It makes sense. I guess it continues the competitiveness of what being a pro is, being one of those game day 46. I really don't have that clear answer. I'll have to get back to you on that one. Me as a player, I never questioned it. I just always looked at it as if we got our certain numbers and I wanted to be one of those 7 offensive linemen ready on game day. Like, that's the conversation behind it. Is it management of player, management of plays being thrown in too? Is it the scouting aspect of what the NFL is too? I don't have that clear answer. I wish I did. I get the concern.
Yeah.
But I would be lying to y'all if I gave you a complete answer as to the whys.
Anytime collective bargaining is involved, anytime labor is involved, bylaws are involved, and there's a discussion between the two sides, there tends to be one prevailing reason behind anything.
Money. And I would also throw this
in there.
If
you're paying 54 guys, you're paying one more than you were paying before.
Yeah. And the other side, too, I think this one probably goes to the competition committee. With players, with coaches and owners in the aspect of why. Let me get you an answer to that one, DK. I'll write that one down and we'll circle back to get a full-fledged answer as to the whys that happen.
No, that's absolutely fair here. We got another one from Mitchell we're going to throw in since that one was a little short. Mitchell says, "Hey, Moan, back in the day, Ben and AB had a similar mind meld connection to what Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce showed again this weekend. What's your favorite memory of Ben and AB making magic out of chaos?"
Ooh,
that's a put you on the spot kind of question right there.
It would be making magic out of chaos. Favorite moment?
Mm-hmm.
AB getting a 5-yard slant and going yard in Cincinnati.
Oh, okay.
That was by far one of my best ones because I think that's when the questions about AB's speed. You remember when he was saying he was running the 4.4 came into question, and just how him and Ben would just take over games, like those quick strikes. Watching that be a thing right there. And truthfully, it was more phenomenal stuff that happened in practice than it did in the games.
It's so true. It's so true. Almost every day.
It was like we'd have plays and you see other wide receivers, and this is during the game, you see other wide receivers somewhat get frustrated or just, dang, he's up to 11 targets all day. When am I going to get mine? But it's the understanding that Ben and AB got their thing and they're going to eat. And as far as he knows, nobody else can do what they do together. Like that cohesion that they have or had was by far one of the best I've ever seen, just an operation of it. And it even got to the point, too, to where the expectation of what was coming to AB when Ben wasn't in, other quarterbacks felt that. And I think that was probably the most telling thing. Like, AB had an expectation for where the ball was going to be and how it was going to get there, too. Like, if you ask the questions, like Charlie talking about how he having to change his arm slot to throw the ball to AB because AB will cut the route off, but it's normal for him and Ben. Like, the uniqueness in hearing Vic talk about it. Landry Jones speak about it, Mason Rudolph, and Charlie speak about it's different when AB's out there and wanting the ball. I think that's more telling of the relationship than actually watching them work because everybody saw them work, but nobody understood what it was like to work with AB or when AB was out for something, the way and the volume that other wide receivers got the ball too. Like if you were on Ben's first page, you were good as gold.
Yeah, you were going to be fine.
You were. Le'Veon was another one in that boat. Like, get on that first page with Ben, and you're good as gold. Like, legitimately, contracts are signed, and all the accolades outside of football came with Ben on the first page with him. Phenomenal, DK.
The memory that I'm going to share of my own in having covered AB and Ben's entire careers here was those two against the Saints. And I'm sure you knew I was going to say that. Down in New Orleans. It was a regular season game not so long ago.
Yeah.
You were out on the field. You were blocking for all that. And you guys ended up coming up short in the scoreboard, but
Yeah.
not offensively. Oh my goodness. They had no answer for 7 and 84. It was and the types of connections that they were establishing in that game, and the fact that they were able to do it relentlessly, and the fact that there's Sean Payton over there trying to figure out something and nothing's happening. It didn't matter. They were gonna beat you again and again and again and again. And it was just a beautiful thing to see, especially in that place, in the Superdome, as noisy as it was, and crowd all over you. Not that many Steelers fans there. It was just, and they just kept silencing it. Boom, 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 boom. I want to say he had 15 catches in that game.
That's what I'm saying. Like, was it close to 18 to 20 targets also, DK?
I'm actually looking that up.
I just remember that game right there that you're speaking of, like us being in long down and distance situation, and just AB comes up with it. Like, there was times where we were just getting pushed, holding, straining, trying to make sure that he had enough time to get the ball off. And they were just on such a page, DK, of rolling. Goodness.
Oh, yeah. I found it. Here it comes. Ready?
Yeah, I'll get it.
14 catches on 19 targets for 185 yards. And not to be left out, especially since he's now going to the Super Bowl, was Juju with 11 catches on 15 targets for 115 yards. However, Juju also lost a fumble.
He had the fumble.
It kind of cost the team the game.
You know what else I remember about that game as we come closer to a close? That was the last time we had us.
Yeah, that's actually true.
That game right there, that no call on Joe Hayden, missing the playoffs.
That was that game.
That was the last time it actually fractured, DK.
That was it, the 2018 team. That was
the fracture.
It wasn't there in 2019.
You've seen those videos of like glaciers breaking apart?
Yeah.
That was the game.
That's it.
That's next week we had a lot of everything happen, remember, in the fur coat that last week. And we need a lot of help to get in the playoffs. What a game, dog. What a last hoorah.
That was something. Let's do it again tomorrow, Ramon.
Hey, man, we really just... Okay, all right. We'll do it tomorrow.
All right.